Hello students, let's read the problem. And it says, what are the solutions in the given systems of equations? So what I'm looking for is the solution. Okay, so if you remember, solution means I need to find a value for x and a value for y, that when I substitute x and y on my equations, it makes the statement true. Okay, so how do I do that? There's different methods, different ways to do it. I'm going to use one that is called substitution. And the reason why I'm going to use substitution is because I do see that one of my equations has already a variable by itself, and that's a plus already. So I'm looking at the second equation, which is right here, and I do see that the y is by itself. So when one of my variables is by itself, then I can go ahead and do substitution. Okay, so how does that work? Well, substitution, I'm going to write down the equation that I did not highlight. You see that one? 3x plus 2y equals 10. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the y. So let me write this down. And look what I'm going to do. Where the y is, I'm actually going to replace that with what is that equals to, which is x minus 5. Okay, and I'm going to write down equals to a 10. So what did I do? Well, basically, I removed the y and I replace it with the equivalent of y equals, which is what I highlighted on the very first two equations. You guys see that? So why do I want to do that? Because now I can see that my equation has only one type or one kind of variable. Instead of having x and y, now I see only x's. So I'm going to bring down my 3x, and I will multiply 2 times x using the distributive property and 2 times negative 5. Okay, so 2 times x gives me 2x minus 10, which is my 2 times 5, equals to a 10. Okay, so what do I need to do next? Well, I am going to combine like terms. So the one that I can combine is 3x and 2x. Is that right? Okay, and that will give me a 5x minus 10 equals 10. So notice how now my variable x, instead of having two terms, now I have only one. Is that right? Okay, so what do I need to do next? I need to eliminate the constant, which is my minus 10. And the opposite of a minus 10 is plus 10. And I will add plus 10 on both sides. Okay, so my 5x, I'm going to bring it down. My minus 10 and plus 10 is going to cancel. Remember? And 10 plus 10 gives me a 20. Okay? And what do I need to do next? Well, I need to eliminate the 5, which is multiplying the x. Therefore, I need to divide by 5 on both sides. 5 divided by 5 is 1. And we had agreed before that 1x is the same as x by itself, right? Therefore, I can write down x equals to 4. So I have the value for x. But that's not it, right? I still need to find the value for y. So what do I need to do next? It's up to you. What do you want to do? You can actually replace on one of the two equations that are given to you. You can choose whichever one you want. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and replace it on the very first one. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is replace x equals 4. Since I need to find the value for y, notice how my problem will be replacing only the x. Okay, so I will replace 3 times 4. My y still stays as a 2y because that's my unknown. So 3 times 4 is 12 plus the 2y equals 10. So notice how now the unknown that I'm looking for is actually the y. Is that right? So I need to eliminate 12. And the way that I eliminate 12 is by subtracting 12 on both sides. The whole idea is to leave y by itself. So my 12 cancels. I'm going to bring down my 2y, and 10 minus 2 gives me a negative 2. And I need to now eliminate the 2 coefficient, right? Which is next to the y. That is a multiplication. The opposite of multiplying is dividing, right? So I will divide by 2 on both sides. 2 divided by 2 is 1, which is the same as y equals negative 2 divided by 2, it's negative 1. So what did I find now? Well, now I found the value for y. So did I find the solution? Yes, I think I did, right? Because the solution needs an x and a y value. So let me write it down over here. So my solution will need an x and a y value. And I already have the x. The x is 4 and the y is negative 1. Okay? So you can go back and look at the answer choices, but I can actually do a check on that. And I know what you're thinking. That's a lot of work, miss. Yes, but think about it. The more you check your work, the more likely you're going to be to get it correct. So let's do it. So how am I going to check my work? Well, notice how now I do know the value for both x and y. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write down my point over here, which is 4 and negative 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace x and y on that equation. So the y value is negative 1. The x value is 4, and I'm going to take away 5. So the whole idea here is whether to check if I get a negative 1 when I work out my right side. 4 minus 5, it is negative 1. So did I get the same number on both sides? Yes, I did, right? So that's one of my equations. I can actually do the second one as well, right? So let's do the second one. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to check on the second equation, which I already have there. 3x plus 2y equals 10. So I am going to write down my equation, but now remember that I will replace the x and the y with the values that I found earlier. And the values are 4 and negative 1. I'm going to write it down here just so that we remember. So the x, it's a 4, and the y is a negative 1. Okay, so 3 times 4 is 12, plus 2 times negative 1 is negative 2, right? And when I actually work out my problem, 12 plus a negative 2 gives me a 10 equals to a 10. So what happened? Did I get the same 10 on both sides? Yes, I did. So what does that mean about my problem? Well, it basically means that this is the solution, right? So my solution is going to be 4 and negative 1, which is letter B for us over here.